Akihiko Tsukushi's Made in Abyss is an absolute work of art in the purest sense of the word. Just like a good piece of art carries its themes, as does Made in Abyss. The most discreet yet influential theme in Made in Abyss is deception. It's important to note at this point that a deception is not always as simple as one character lying to another or to the audience. A deception is the presentation of information that either fails to tell the whole story or seems to suggest the exact opposite. Consider how Mararuk, a blue whistle living in Seeker's camp, presents traits and attire of a young female, when in fact he's male. Note that when this fact is revealed to Reg in the manga, he is absolutely taken aback. The part of the story that really compelled me to make this video takes place just after the end of the anime, when Riko, Reg, and Nanachi enter the Garden of Flowers of Resilience on the 4th layer. The flower garden is renowned for its beauty, and it's remarked by Ozan that it was Liza's favourite place in the Abyss. However, its beauty is a deception. Beneath the petals, the Kuon-gatari mimic the appearance of the flower's leaves and assume dormancy, waiting for a living organism to come too close and become a host for the insect's larvae until their death. Of the three main characters, Nanachi is the most experienced and cautious with the Abyss, yet she is bitten by the Kuon-gatari. This sets the scene nicely for when the trio reach Eidofront and first encounter Bondrewd, Lord of Dawn, in person. Everything about Bondrewd is deceptive. Firstly, his appearance. He wears a dark mask that completely conceals his face, as does every member of his praying hands. He is also equipped with several relics for use as weapons. The viewer might expect these weapons to be primarily used against the beasts of the Abyss, since other white whistles also carry weapons, and aren't overtly bad at people. However, Bondrewd's weapons offer use against people, some of which are only useful against human opponents. Bondrewd's deception runs much deeper. Nanachi is wary of Bondrewd's true intentions, as he welcomes them to Eidofront with open arms, presumably because she was tricked by Bondrewd after he appeared hospitable once before. The very first night that our heroes go to sleep within Eidofront, Bondrewd is busy seducing Nanachi into working with him under the pretense that Reg and Riko will be allowed past to the 6th layer without harm. Meanwhile, his praying hands are hard at work, probing and defiling poor Reg in such a way that puts Riko to shame, eventually severing one of his arms. Upon realizing that she is being deceived, Nanachi rushes to rescue Reg alongside Prushka and Riko, and the first battle for Eidofront takes place. Bondrewd's adoptive daughter Prushka is innocent. She is the definitive tragic character, who was born in the Abyss, and thus never has, and never will, see the light of dawn. The way that Prushka so quickly forms a relationship with Riko showcases her carefree and perhaps naive nature. This is what makes Bondrewd's deceiving of Prushka so absolutely irredeemable. He shamelessly takes advantage of Prushka's love and puts her through the process that Nanachi previously described in gruesome detail, turning Prushka into another one of his cartridges, one with enough devotion towards him that it would grant him with what he refers to as the blessing of the Abyss, cementing Bondrewd as the second worst father in anime history. Prushka's grim fate is a warning to the heroes, especially Riko, of what will befall them if they let themselves be deceived again. Prushka is not the only character who could be considered naive. Prushka is a symbol of who Riko used to be, someone who's been sheltered, who hasn't had enough life experience to know when to doubt. After Bondrewd is defeated, Riko, Reg, and Nanachi descend on their last dive to the 6th layer. The atmosphere of the manga changes from an air of triumph to an oppressive atmosphere of caution. Everything from the unsettling note left at their bedside, to the malformed Narahate of the village, to the quirky and shifty characters of Magikaya and Wazukian, all makes the reader uneasy. It leaves the reader wondering whether something more sinister is afoot. Perhaps these new characters are hiding something from them. The fact that this new atmosphere is so tangible shows that the main characters are less naive than before. Alas, the manga ends on chapter 45, with Riko's fears being realised. Nanachi has been tricked, and we'll have to wait a little bit longer for the next volume. Take a moment now to reflect on the course of the manga. As we've read, we, as the reader, have also been deceived. At every turn, we've been exposed to the violent, harsh reality of the abyss we never would have expected from Akihiko's delightful artistry. In a way, we have developed alongside the main characters, as we've delved deep into the abyss with them. In the abyss, a world of countless deceptions, Riko is always the deceived. Over days and nights in the abyss, she grows more cautious, but is still too trusting. Nanachi directly tells Riko that they ought to keep their cards close to their chest as they interact with Bondrewd, something that you might consider obvious. Consider now how naive Reg and Riko were at the start of their journey, as they were so shocked to discover Mararuk was a male. How naive Reg was to think he could protect Riko from Tamachan, and how they thought they could escape from Hypo the Black Whistle. How they thought Jiro wouldn't realise what they were up to on the night that they left, or how Reg fell for Nat's scary story, and how naive Riko was to fall for the deception that started this all. At the Netherworld's bottom, I'll be waiting. A note attached to Liza's research that seemed to summon Riko. A note not written in Liza's handwriting. I believe this note is just another deception. The note, the empty grave in the garden, the damaged Blaze Reap, Reg's fragmented memories, all just bait to lure Riko into the depths of the abyss, as she was so drawn to since she was a little girl. There is something waiting for Riko at the bottom of the Netherworld, but it is not her mother. I think Nat hit the nail on the head when he told Riko, "Your mom died a long time ago."